Yeah, we like you, Nyalas. And we just, I've come back here because I have to go back to those leopards. And I have to go back to those leopards because the light is about to get particularly good. I'm pretty sure that they're both going to be around at some stage. So I think it's worth us going back there to see what's happening with them. You can see the light changing from the fairly white and washed out light that we started with to the lovely wintry yellow that we get at this time of the year. Now, Shelley, you're wondering what the difference between grazing and browsing is. Grazing is the eating of grass, Shelley, and browsing is the eating of tree leaves. So that is the major difference. And of course, Nyalas are browsers. And while you might be looking at them saying, oh, but you said tree leaves, there are no tree leaves here. Well, you'd be correct in saying that, but there are a lot of forbs on the ground. Now, you see what he's eating there? Not eating grass at all. Well done, Fergus. That was particularly well done. And that's what they're all going for. Those sorts of forbs, I guess you'd call them, or herbaceous plants that are not grasses. So dicotyledons, if you like. But look at the colour. I mean, the colour is just spectacular, isn't it? And in the background you can hear a comment from Sparrow. Says, a very pretty Nyala. Yes, a very pretty Nyala. Many pretty Nyalas over here. And I'm really enjoying the feeling of the sun on my face, I must say. It feels very pleasant indeed on a winter's afternoon. Yeah, this is really very gorgeous light. So we won't spend too long here. We'll head back towards those leopards fairly soon. And it's very, very quiet. Hardly any bird song. Just the grey go-away bird that's now stopped and one dove in the background. That will change, of course, as the sun starts to set. Yeah, I hope, sometimes I really feel like, although we show you many animals, we try and show you many animals, the great joy of being in a place like this is not necessarily the animals, but quite often just the beauty of the place and the atmosphere and sense that it gives you. And I hope that we give that to you in some way, because it really is it's very special, especially with the sun on your face like this after a cool, cold day. Natalie, you want to know what the closest I've ever been to a Nyala is. Natalie, I've been probably about a metre away from a Nyala before. They get very confiding when they live around camp. And, they tend to come towards the camps because the camps water their gardens, and so that for a lot longer in the year you've got lots of green, delightful stuff. And so they tend to spend quite a lot of time around the camps, and because of that they get very used to people, and you can get pretty close to them. And I've probably sat within a metre or two, 3 feet, 3 or 4 feet from a Nyala before, completely relaxed. And they can give you a false sense of security because they look sort of doe-eyed and sweet and kind, and well, they are, but any animal that feels threatened out here, of course, is twice as strong as we are and can do some serious damage. And so even though you might have one in your camp. You've always got to be just very careful that you don't inadvertently sort of corner it, because if you do that, you can be in some big trouble. Alright, yeah, I'm a little bit worried that somebody else is going to get to our leopard before us, so I think we're going to carry on towards him. Now, I believe Tristan is still searching for his cheetah. He probably should have just driven to the Mara, where there seemed to be a plethora of them.
Well, James, unfortunately, somebody's got to stay behind and drive around these areas, and so you're going to the Mara, and Jamie, and Brent, and Steph, and that only leaves a few of us, and so we have to stay here and hold the fortress and see what we can do on this side. Now, it's not that we don't have cheetah here, it's just that they are being elusive this afternoon, and patience will be rewarded at some point once we kind of check around nicely. I'm sure we will be able to find one. If only it was as easy as Brent is having at finding his cheetah this afternoon. That would have been quite nice. It seems these cheetah brothers are sort of, I don't know, teasing me a little bit. They yesterday had their tracks coming this way, but we didn't get them. They crossed out. This afternoon they were seen this morning. Now they can't be seen, so I don't know, they're just playing with my emotions slightly, and I'm sure it will all rectify itself at some point. Now, there is a termite mound somewhere here that I'm trying to look for, to try and see if I can't see if they're maybe not on top of that mound. I think there's a view of it if you look very carefully from somewhere here, so I'm just going to try and get up a little bit. It's somewhere on my left, Seb, but now I remember this termite mound because like I say, I had them on top of it recently. Well, not recently, in February, somewhere there. Why can't I see it now, Seb? No, it's not this one. It's a little bit deeper in. There you can see where my tracks are, actually, where I've come out from the said termite mound. So I might actually just take this in and just see if I can't go towards wherever it is. But you can see why it's going to be difficult. If they are lying here, this is a very difficult area to find a cheetah. And in fact, some of you may remember that sighting that we had of that cheetah brother in this area, where he just literally disappeared in front of us. He would walk and the grass was so long that all you saw was just moving grass. There was actually no real sign of the cheetah itself. So it is not a great place if they are lying here. But let's try see, Seb. Let's go in here and have a little look quickly. I'm sure this termite mound is right here somewhere. Unfortunately, I'm not that familiar with this particular block, so I've only followed cheetah once through here, and I've followed buffalo twice, but still I am getting old these days. Got lots of grey hairs developing. Seb, you're also in the same boat, aren't you? With the grey hairs. We both are, yes. Getting a little older, and so the memory is not as good as it used to be, and that means that sometimes I forget where things are. But I think it's just here up ahead, Seb. It's not too far from here. I remember it being somewhere close by. Now, hopefully our cheetah brothers are going to pop out of the grass as I go forward here. Wouldn't that be nice, as we sort of driving, if we just saw these two heads pop up? That would be lovely. No, nothing there, nothing there. What was that just flew away? Hold on, Seb, I saw something interesting. I think it landed in this dead tree on the left here. It looked a bit hawk-like. I'm just going to try and get my binoculars out and see if I can't find it. You can hear the rattling, so sticklers are complaining. So I'm sure it was a hawk or sparrow hawk of some sort. Where are you? No, it didn't land in the dead tree, I don't think. It must have carried on. That's a pity. I didn't get to see exactly what it was. I just saw the shadow come over me and then just a brief sort of glimpse out the corner of my eye. But I was hoping it was going to land in the dead tree and I would be able to get a better sort of view of it. But it seems like it's not landed there, unfortunately. Also seems that our cheetah are not on top of the termite mound that I was hoping they would be on, because that's right in front of us. So I think I've unfortunately don't know where else to really check at this stage. Because there's our termite mound I was talking about, Seb. just on our left-hand side here, there's a bit of a tree there. So I was thinking that they might be sitting on there. Now the last tracks that anybody had was just south of where we are now, coming into this thicket, and so they could really well be anywhere in this section. The only way to do this would just be to hope that something alarm calls, or for some miracle we bump into them while driving around. The other problem is we're right on the boundary. The Nkoro sort of cut line is just here, about 100 meters from where we are. So if they have continued through this thicket, then it's in all likelihood that they've gone through. But I'm going to go round the mound in case they're lying on the other side. Now, you never know. Maybe we're just being tricked by them and they're lying on the other side of this mound. So I'm going to go try and see what's on the other side. And while they do that, I believe James, who's had far more luck than we've had today, is back with the beautiful Thandi and Tumba.
Well, I'm with one of them. We're with Thandi, who is now having her dinner, and interestingly, she keeps looking up and behind where we are, so I'm hoping that young Tamba is possibly around there, that area, maybe. What say you, Fergus? Do you think so, maybe?
Maybe.
There, look, you see how she's looking? And as I was saying this morning, I don't know if you were watching this morning, you know, once the cabs get to the age that Tumba is now, of course, they will begin to bully their mothers off kills. And so she almost has to eat when he's not around. And if it's not when he's not around, it's, you know, it's when he's satiated himself. Sometimes she'll feed for a while before she takes him to the kill. Yeah, this is just beautiful, isn't it? V, you ask quite an interesting question. You say, why don't male leopards join coalitions? V, it's a difficult question to answer, I think, because, and not so much because of the leopards, but because of the only social cats. You know, the only social cat in the world, of course, is... Sorry, 1 second. I'm just going to quickly call myself in here. The stations I've relocated Thandi. She is static, same place, no sign of the youngster yet. Right, so what were we saying? Oh, right, okay. So the only social cat in the world, of course, is a lion. And we're not convinced as to why they're social. So there are various answers about how they look after it's easier for them to look after their cubs, how it's easier for them to catch prey. In the terms of the latter, it turns out that actually often a single lioness on her own will eat as much as 3 lionesses in a pride. So that's not necessarily a good answer. We think it's probably got to do with protecting the babies and making sure that they are not killed by marauding males. Now, no other cat seems to have that issue. Why no other cat has that issue, I'm really not sure. But there would be no point in a male forming a coalition because, well, I mean, by definition, leopards are solitary, and it is the most successful strategy for them to be solitary. Go ahead. I know that's not a very satisfactory answer. Yeah, about 4 out of 5. They're just wanting to know on the radio how well we're seeing her. And she's feeding on the ground. Isn't that light perfect? Now, of course, if she was really wanting to perform for us, she would go into the tree immediately. I love the sight of her just when she sticks her head up through the gap there. It's just gorgeous. Not sure which piece she's eating there. I think it's probably a hind quarter. Lady Starfire, you say, is this leopard eating a buffalo? Lady Starfire, no, this leopard is eating an impala. And that is the horn that you can see there. A buffalo is far, 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 far too large for a female leopard to kill. She wouldn't have a chance at killing a buffalo. She'd be completely out of her depth, and buffalo would make mincemeat of her quite quickly if he could get hold of her. She weighs probably in the region of about 35 to 40 kilograms, which is about 90 pounds or so, and a big buffalo bull will weigh 600 kilograms in this area, and that's about 1,400 pounds. So she'd have no chance at all with the buffalo. That said, I have heard a story, now whether it's true or not I don't know, but I've heard a story of a male leopard killing a giraffe once. Now, I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing to my mind, but apparently it has happened. Shelley, you say, is this the same kill from this morning? Yeah, definitely. They will take a little bit of time to finish off a kill like this. It's a large piece of prey for her, and a really nice piece of prey. I'm just not sure why she's looking off behind us. Oh, she can hear the other vehicles approaching now. And you'll be able to see that our shadows are slowly lengthening over the top of her, and it's at this stage, of course, that we want her to go up into the tree so that the glorious golden light of the African winter sunset can have her in her full resplendence. What I'm going to do is probably just move slightly forward so that this chap can get a good view with his guests. Well, no, our shadow might touch her, but we should be okay. Can you still see her there, Ferg? There we go. Ndirin chumorin. Tsagele kumuvona. I was just saying hello to the tracker who used to work where I used to work. I believe poor old Tristan is still searching for his cheetah, so let's go and find out how that's going.
Well, James, it's about as good as it was the whole afternoon. Absolutely nothing so far, so not going very well at all. But we shall carry on and persevere and see what we can find, and try and head down to the open area itself and see maybe if there is, I don't know, something, an impala. That would be nice to see. Anything with a heartbeat that is not in a metallic vehicle would be good. Sorry, Seb, I like seeing you on the back of the car, but not that much. It would be nice to see an animal of some sort. Maybe we'll get lucky with a jackal. That would be cool. Wouldn't mind seeing a jackal. So, Christian, you're wondering if this area is fully protected from poachers. Well, yes, it is. So, the Kruger National Park side of things, which is on our eastern side at the moment, has an anti-poaching unit, and they will patrol that side and make sure that there's no sign of poachers. On this side, we also have an anti-poaching unit of our own in the Sabi Sands that patrols night and day and make sure that they are able to find whatever they are needing to look for. So, they'll also gather intelligence on the outside in the communities to make sure that we have a situation where they're trying to protect the reserve as best as possible. So there is an anti-poaching unit, and it is probably one of the biggest things about these reserves these days, is that the anti-poaching units are hugely instrumental in trying to keep these reserves safe and protected and make sure that we have as many animals as we do. We're very fortunate in that we have really good biodiversity, we have lots of animals, and so they do a very, very good job, and it's something that's costing these sort of areas a serious amount of money at the moment. And it's interesting because it was an expense that we didn't used to sort of be there, and nowadays they've got to try and sort of factor that in all of these reserves and make sure that they're trying to keep these animals as safe as possible. It really is quite difficult. Sorry, Hornbill. Are you going to land in the road in front of me? Okay, well, if you want to land, then we'll look at you in that beautiful orange light. Seb, there we go. See how nice and gold it is. No, don't run out of the light now. Seb, it's one of those days, I'm afraid. Not even the Hornbill wants to play the game with us today. But you can see how they feed around sort of dung piles. They'll go towards sort of elephant dung and places like that and try and see if they can't eke out some sort of insect, and generally it's termites that they're aiming for. So they're trying to sort of move that dung, and the termites generally feed off the dung from below, and the hornbills are then able to sort of glean those termites off the dung itself. That's why they go through it, and why big balls of elephant dung, you don't see them on the roads as much as you would think. They kind of get broken up by these hornbills and various other birds as they try and look for food. Well, what have you found there? No, something small. But you see how they use that beak. It's amazing how agile they are with their beak. You would think it would be quite difficult with such a long beak to sort of find small termites in amongst a whole pile of dung, but this hornbill is doing it very, very well indeed. Now you'll find what happens is once the hornbill's done here, because the hornbill's got a bigger beak and it's able to open things out, once it's done, then you'll find things like starlings and varying other species of birds will come in and kind of scavenge off all the hornbill's hard work. So once the hornbill kind of flies away, they come and clean up all the scraps and all the other termites that will be left behind. Alright, buddy, we need to still go because I want to try and get some nice light. So I believe a lot of you are commenting on just how beautiful the light is. Well, that's why we're going to try and see and just unfortunately disturb our hornbill, because we want to go to Cheetah Plains Open, which is about as good as it gets, and the sun is at the perfect sort of angle now to just really admire those golden sort of plains that stretch southwards into Nyala. So I'm going to try and see if I can't get around there. And wouldn't this light be perfect with those two cheetah brothers? Would have been such a special sort of afternoon had they been around, and I'm sure James must be getting beautiful views of Thandi and Tumba in this nice light, and I'm hoping one of them will go up into that big marula tree that's there, because yesterday we had Thandi in that marula tree and it was very, very pretty indeed. She unfortunately didn't face into the light at any stage, but that sort of sunset behind her was really quite something. Sorry, Hornbill. Sorry. I feel bad when I drive along and the hornbills kind of fly off the road, but honestly, if we had to stop at every single hornbill, we wouldn't be able to get anywhere. We'd be in a situation where we'd probably still be at quarantine clearings 3 hours into our drive, because they really do sit on the roads all over the place and varying other birds and descriptions of birds. But isn't that spectacular? Hey. Now, we might not have seen any animals this afternoon, we might have struggled a little bit for the day, but views like that seem to bring peace to one's sort of soul and makes you realize that it's not all bad, and that things like this are really something that you need to take a moment to stop and admire and realize how fortunate we are to be in a place like this and to be looking for these animals, even though we're not finding them. Just to be out here and seeing big sort of golden sun coming down over the African plains is really a very, very special thing. So like I say, it might be sort of badish days and tough days out here, but that certainly makes it much easier when you see things like that. Really is very, very pretty. It's going to only get better and better. I want to just quickly shoot forward, Seb, because the plains further south of us are actually better, but it was just too good not to stop there for 1 second and just see the beautiful coloration that we had there. Oh, come on, cheetah plains, deliver us something. Right, while we go and try and admire the beautiful golden plains to the south here, let's go across to James's golden cat that's eating a lovely meal.
Yes, she is indeed eating a lovely meal. I'm still waiting for Tumba to pitch up, hoping that perhaps he will. And with any luck, shortly we'll be joined by him, but the light remains completely magnificent on her face. And she's very, very hungrily eating. We really are having a wonderful time here with her. I think she's having the really prime cut there of the hind quarter. And just tearing it to shreds. Well-deserved meal. Now, I really think it's quite interesting how different her colour is from Shadow's and Karula's. I think she's much more golden, and not quite as golden as in Kanyeni, for example, but she's much golder than Shadow is. And there's definitely a real variation amongst leopards from the same mother, clearly. They've almost certainly got the same father. I mean, they look so similar. Interestingly, their father, I think, is also their grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. And if you are and you view a Shadow, of course, a leopardess from the far west of where we traverse, that's just gorgeous, isn't it wonderful? Well done, Fergus, you're making art. It's afternoon. Surely it can't be long before the little one arrives. And of course not a very pleasant afternoon if you happen to be that Impala, but, well, it's no longer noticing these things. Such concerns of living and dying and being eaten have long left its consciousness, along with the need to be part of the rut, of course, which is why it got nailed. Will Jane, you say Tandi has a 3-3 spot pattern, and what does that mean? Tandi, at least Will Jane, what it means is if you look above the whisker line and below the nose, there are 3 spots on the left and 3 spots on the right, and that's one of the best ways to identify a leopard. Guys, I'm afraid what I'm going to have to do is move back and out of here because there's other vehicles in here and they're trying to get a view. I'll draw you a picture. Let me move out your way. Will I make it? All right. Right, we're going to do a little bit of a turnaround and see if we can't find the youngster, and then we'll come back here. I'm sure he's around here somewhere. It'd be wonderful if we found him lurking in a tree, perhaps. Alright, so let me show you. I might even have a picture of something where I could show you. Yes, I can do it on my camera. I'll show you the 3-3, and we might even be able to see the 3 spots. Not that I've taken a picture of Tandi, have I? Fergus? No.
I think we downloaded one.
I downloaded one, yes, from the internet. Let me just quickly from Tandi's Facebook page. That's exactly right. I don't know if I have one of her face, actually. That's a bit depressing. I can show you Tumba. Okay, so let's go zoom. Oh no, that's Thandi. Now I've just got to figure out how this works. Oh, there we go. Alright, there we go. So just over there you can see 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's above the whisker line. There's the whisker line, obviously, and so you count those 3 spots above the whisker line, and then the other side she's got exactly the same. Now her mother Karula was a 3-4. She had 3 that side and 4 that side, so you read it, you say it the same way that you would read it, from left to right. And Kanyeni, for example, is a 4-4. Shongile is actually a 4-4, though we thought she was a 4-3 at one stage. She's 4-4. Hosana is 3-3 as well. And so that, combined with where they live, is a good way of recognizing them. But of course, let me just zoom out a bit here. You can recognize them by all of these spots because none of them are the same on any 2 leopards. And so you could look at the spots just above the head, which we did with Karula. Of course, they spelt out the word wow. You could look at the spots underneath the chin. They form sort of a necklace, and you can look at those spots. So there are lots of different ways of telling what leopard is what. But those ones above the whiskers are very reliable, and they're what most sort of leopard researchers will use. So I hope that kind of explains. I quite like that photograph, Fergus. Don't you?
I was wondering earlier who was soft, me or you.
Fergus, there's nothing soft about my picture. I'm going to turn it off now so that you can't cast aspersions on my ability to find focus. Alright, we're going to look around a little bit for Tumba over here. While we do that, Tristan apparently is driving into the sunset like Clint Eastwood.
Well, no, because now I'm Clint Westwood, because I'm driving west into the sunset, because the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, Mr. Hendry. Yes. I think that's how it goes, maybe. Am I right, Seb?
Yeah.
I am right.
That's what I learned at school.
That's also what I learned at school. Maybe St. John's needs to sort of get hold of James again and get him back there for the directional exam. No, I'm just kidding. No, we are slowly heading our way back west because, well, our luck is really not gotten any better, because we came down the road towards Cheetah Plains, and there in front of us was a beautiful big vehicle full of people, and we were very excited, and we thought maybe they would have good news for us, and the news that they had was that they had just seen a honey badger run across the road and it's now gone. That is the story of 7 Hours Afternoon, is that we are literally just missing everything by few minutes. Exactly, Seb. Well done. So that's been the way it goes. Now, it would have been nice to see a honey badger. I would have been quite excited for that, wouldn't you, Seb?
Yes.
I also haven't seen one in ages. The last one I actually saw, I think, must be over a year ago now. So it would have been nice to have seen one of those. But I can tell you what, is now that our sun has set in the east, it is now very cold. Very, very cold indeed. Temperature is dropping fast. Seb has got his woolly coat on. It looks like he's put on a lamb. Seb, you look like a lamb. There you go. You can see it's just, well, the inside out lamb actually, but he's all wrapped up in his woolly coat, as you can see there. So he's all ready for this afternoon or this evening and the sort of homeward journey that we make. Now we're going to carry on our way eastwards and try and see if, well, we can find something to show all of you, and while we do that, let's go across to James, who hopefully is facing the right direction and not staring at a blank sky, but rather the sun in the west.
I don't think I'm staring at the blank sky. That doesn't look very blank to me. It looks very wonderful to me. Of course, I should have picked up on the idea of that particularly bad joke, Clint Westwood. So we are going to watch the sun go down here. We haven't left the leopard, but we came in search of Tamba on account of the fact that we wanted to give a chance to those other two vehicles to have a look at Mrs. Thandi, and then we spotted the sun going down and we thought, well, who are we to deny people the opportunity to see this magnificence? And therefore you have got the magnificence. Go ahead. No, negative, we're just watching the sun. Apparently Tandi is calling. Copy, we'll keep an eye out. She's calling towards this way, and they want to know if we've got a view of the little one yet, which we don't. I'm just putting my oh, that's a lovely picture, Fergus. There's beautiful colours there. I'm just putting my scarf on because of course I have managed to neglect to bring my jacket today. Well, Fergus has got his. He'll give it to me because I'm the presenter. Not so, Fergus. Brandon, you're wondering what I'm going to miss the most about Djuma when I'm gone. I think it's probably the smell. I know that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but every wilderness area that I've ever been to has got a unique smell to it, and Djuma is no different. And it smells like home these days, and so I think I will miss that quite a lot, especially as we go into the winter time. What else will I miss? I will obviously miss our characters. I mean, I already miss Karula quite dreadfully. I'll miss the two cubs, which we've watched from the day they were born. But I must just say, I mean, for most of us, it's going to be a 3-month sojourn, and it may be repeated to a number of 3-month sojourns over the years. But it's only 3 months until we're back here, in theory. So I tell you what I won't miss is the winter. I've always wanted, this will be the first year that I've ever managed to escape the full-blooded winter completely, and I'm very, very excited about that. I mean, obviously I'm looking forward to meeting all the new lions and characters and exploring that, just completely iconic area. But in terms of the weather, I'm very pleased to be skipping the winter here. I'm just listening to the radio. No, there's still no sign of the baby. We'll just pop round the corner here. There's a pan here. We may have just crossed the boundary by mistake, but we're not going to worry about that. They won't arrest me on my last day, will they? My last day for 3 months. And that's why, when we start getting all nostalgic about this, of course, I guess it's quite a good thing, because it means that we appreciate where we've been, we appreciate Djuma, and we appreciate the Sabi sand. But really, we're not going forever. It's a little bit like, I don't know, getting nostalgic about home when you go on holiday. And we'll probably feel exactly the same then when we come back from the Mara. We'll probably feel nostalgic about that. But I also hope very much that Taylor and Tristan will go up there soon, when we come back, or when I come back, because I think it's such a wonderful opportunity for so many of us to go and explore and share our impressions of the natural world with all of you. And I'm sure you're just as excited as we are. And of course you are not going to miss anything about Djuma. You're going to be here all the time. Now, I've got no idea where this youngster is. He's probably in the very thick bushes here. We'll go back to Mum now. Not sure how much view we're going to have of her with all those people there, but we'll try. Well, the sun has gone down on another day in the northeast corner of the world's most beautiful country, and hopefully the leopards will remain out. We do have a school drive at 5:30, just for half an hour, obviously, and that's in 20 minutes 20, I'm told. I'm just going to stop here and no, I'm not. Keep going. There you go, Fergus. Don't say I don't ever do anything for you. Oh, it's an advertisement for a Japanese car company. You shall remain nameless. Fergus is there. Do you think she's going to go up the tree? I rather hope she will. Right now, apparently Leo Smith is bravely out in a storm.
Well, welcome back to Kenya. We thought we'd give you a quick view of what camp's looking like. So that is the final control in the studio, and it is getting done so quickly. Very exciting. Now, the tents are all spread out to the right there, in amongst the bushes. You can't really see them. And there we go, you can see a few of them there. Isn't that cool? Now, we're about to head up the hill, so we're not naughty and late in the reserve for now, but there's some incredible little rainstorms that are all around us at the moment. Fortunately, none of them are on top of us, and a lovely shepherd's tree there. But there we go. As we look down towards the south at the moment, you see all that lovely rain falling, bringing those wildly beasts towards us. And it is absolutely gorgeous up here, and there's some buffalo in the foreground there, some old retired gentlemen who don't go fight around with the herd. Absolutely stunning, and we can see across the other side towards Rhino Ridge, or actually just to the south of Rhino Ridge, quite a bit more rain there. Red's wondering how often do we get lightning strikes in the Mara. Actually, quite often. The internet at Tingana got whacked by lightning not that long ago, but I think we're mostly out of the really bad season now, and well, we're heading into the dry season, but these last little rains are going to do wonders for our dry season, where the rest of the areas have not had much rain at all. So it's looking good for us coming into dry season in comparison to other places, even close to here, even just down south in Tanzania, just across the border. They've had very little rain in comparison to what they normally have, which could mean the wildebeest will be here earlier. But we're going to go now dash up the hill and see what else we can find tomorrow morning. So we'll see you bright and early for the sunrise safari. But in the meantime, James has found something that's high up in a tree.
Yes, well, it's the same thing we've just had. It is Tandi high up in the tree. And we're just going to wait for the other vehicle to stop, and then we'll probably go around the other side of her and try a repeat. She's just, you know what she's doing? She's sharpening her claws. Shall I just go back, Ferg? Like so. You're quite a fussy fellow, eh? A little bit more here, a little bit more there. And that's not enough, is it? Oh, that's wonderful. Gorgeous. Now I wonder, surely the baby must come now. Surely. Little Tamba must decide that he wants his supper. Now, this is of course a very good place for her to be resting, and she's resting like that because while it's probably not as comfortable as on the ground, as we head towards the night time, that is when the lions and hyenas are going to start moving around, which means that for her to close her eyes and get some shut-eye, this is a much better place than on the ground to be. So let's go around the other side there. Now, I hate to say this, Fergus, but well, things looking a little red here. You know, on the leopard, it looks quite red in the picture, maybe slightly. We are working with these cameras, as I've said to you, everybody. I think the colour has been infinitely better this afternoon than it has before. Are you guys, is there someone on standby? Sorry, I'm just going to find out if I can stay. Sorry everybody, we're going to have to leave. Make your way, sorry, my radio is hopeless. Will you just keep me posted for a gap after you've left? Let's give you one last look at that. And then we're going to have to head out, I'm afraid. Isn't that lovely? That is a very contented, very, very happy cat, of whom I'm going to take one picture and then we're going to have to leave. Sorry everybody, but we've had a wonderful time with them and we're just going to pull out. Davonana my gojan. If I could ever tell you the story about how the man on the front of that car's employment was ended where I used to work, you would both laugh and cry at the same time. Anyway, he's a lovely fellow and I'm glad he's managed to find further employment. Derek Magojan is his name. I think he's related to Zodwa. Yeah. He comes from the same village. Righty, on we go. Stations, I'm out of the Tandi lock, but I would like to make my way back with the infrared if there's a space, but there's no rush. Copy, no problem. I don't think we're going to get back into that sighting. It seems that there are two people waiting to get in, which is a pity, but we did have her in the perfect light. Now, Claire, you're wondering if inbreeding is a problem with the cats. It's not in an area like this, and it does happen from time to time. We know it does. We've seen it happen. Well, I mean, Tandi herself is a product of inbreeding. We think that her father is also her grandfather. We know what that means, and that's no problem for the cats. Up to, I believe, between 3 and 6 generations. I've read both, and I've certainly heard both. I'm not sure that I've read both. So I don't think it's a major train smash for them, for the cats I mean. And yeah, I mean, it's in an area like this where it's a completely open system, a completely sort of natural system, it's not a problem, because the males disperse as they're supposed to and the females disperse like they're supposed to. I'm sure from time to time it happens to the extent that there might be a genetic deformation or so, but I don't think it's a major train smash in an area like this. It is quite chilly tonight, isn't it, Fergus? It would be nice if I had a jacket. I'm going to call everybody that we're not going to go back to that leopard sighting. There are 2 or 3 people trying to get in and I don't want to pressure them, so we've had a good time and we're going to carry on out of here. It's just a pity for the school kids. Now, Christian, you're wondering if about this really kind of what would we say, contested topic of whether or not we are prepared or not prepared to help sick, lame and infirm animals. And the answer is no. To a large extent we do not interfere. we let things ride, and that's because this is a natural system, and so we just let things ride. And yeah, that's just how we let things go. We try not to interfere with nature too much. Now, I mean, we could talk about this for days and days, because it's really quite interesting how the arguments go. There's quite a fun kudu sighting going on there. I'm playing kudus. How's it going?
Okay.
Are you well?
Thanks, mate.
Good. Enjoy. Right. Well, the kudus are leaping around there. I just wanted to say, I mean, of course, we're sitting now on a clearing, and the clearing is... It's not a natural clearing. I mean, this has been cleared by human beings. And so for me to pontificate about the fact that we never interfere because you don't want to interfere with nature, I mean, to a person with half a brain, you can see that would be absolute rubbish. And so, I mean, there is a large attempt not to interfere too much, but of course, whereas game viewing is involved, often there is interference. But we certainly do interfere with predators or endangered predators. So, for example, if a wild dog was hurt or a wild dog was injured, we definitely... Fergus is just fighting with his camera. We certainly would interfere. We probably interfere with cheetah as well, because they're endangered. With an injured lion, we may or may not, depending on whether or not it was an anthropogenic effect, so whether it was a human being that had caused the problem or not. It's a seriously contested space, and I think it's worth debating all the time as to whether we help or we don't help. It's quite interesting. Okay, let's carry on. Let's carry on. In the stations, I'll take myself off the lineup for that, so enjoy. Let's go. Where are we going to go? You know what we need to do before the school drive, everybody, is put the... Do we have infrared on this car? No infrared yet.
We'll do it. We haven't got a catch.
Oh, right. Okay, we don't have a catch. Okay. I wonder if we shouldn't just stay... Tristan's got a major signal problem at the moment. So, I'm going to stay here, because we've got some animals. We're going to lose signal if we keep going over the top. So I think we're going to stay right here, I'm afraid. Well, I'm not afraid. We've got an Impala and some Nyala and that sort of thing, so I think we'll stay around here until the start of the school drive, or until Tristan finds himself some signal. I believe Brent was showing you our camp in the Mara. That's very nice. Quite looking forward to seeing it myself. Joshua, you say, am I excited to be tormented by Brent in the Mara? Joshua, I am about as excited for being tormented by Brent in the Mara as I would be to gargle a swarm of rabid wasps. So, no, I'm not looking forward to being tormented by Brent. I'm certainly looking forward to hearing the stories and learning about the Mara and, sharing a workspace with him again. But the torment? No, I don't want to have any torment from him. I'm not sure anyone does. On that note, we'll just enjoy the silence for a little while as these impalas graze their way gently across the plains. And I think if you just go to the Nyalas, behind them there, Ferg, you see them there? There they are. I wonder if that isn't the little one that was orphaned this morning and is now reunited with his family. That would be very sweet. Oh, look. Now, was that you who did that to the light, Fergus? Mm-hmm. That's very good. Made it look like the sun came up from behind them. Hello, NASCAR for life. You say, what am I excited about going to the Mara? I'm excited about learning a new place, meeting all the new animals, the view from just about anywhere there, unless you happen to have your head buried in the sand, is so spectacular that it's beyond belief. I'm looking forward to seeing the migration arrive and, watching it all unfold in front of our eyes. Those magnificent crossings of animals leaping, seemingly without out purpose into the water half the time, and crossing and being devoured by the crocodiles, and of course as soon as they get out of the water, by the lions and that sort of thing. So that I'm looking forward to. I don't know, it's just it's a beautiful part of the world. It's iconic. It's out of Africa, and the romance of it really does appeal to me enormously. So that will be fun. And you always want to go to, if you're a naturalist or interested in nature, you always want to go and visit new natural places. And so that will be, that's really what I'd like to do. Oh my goodness, Tristan has managed to find himself some signal. This is very, very exciting. Let's head across to him.
That's about the only thing I found there, James, and it's been a struggle as well to find it. So not only have we been struggling with animals, but signal has been now on our backs too. So it's been a tough afternoon at the office, that's for sure. But anyway, at least we had a nice sunset. That was nice, and hopefully we will get lucky now. I'm going to head towards the hyena den, and maybe, just maybe, with some sort of semblance of luck, there will be some animal there that I can potentially look at, which would be quite nice. So hopefully the little ones will be out and Mom will be there. It's a good time of day to be here, well, to be going that side. And also we'll put on the IR lights and see if we can't maybe find something of interest over there. Now, interestingly enough, I heard that the wild dog pack is slowly but surely heading towards sort of Djuma, but they're still quite far away. They're close to Sumamili Dam, which is where the Nkuhuma Pride is, so hopefully they don't bump into each other, because wild dogs and lions, as we know, do not mix very well at all. And so hopefully tomorrow morning we'll have them this side. It would be nice if they just continue along and head this way, and if they don't, if the Nkuhuma Pride comes this way, that would be nice. So there is some sort of semblance of hope for tomorrow morning on Djuma, that we will have some sort of an animal to look at, and that we will get a little bit luckier. Now, Seb, you'll be with James tomorrow morning, won't you? So Seb is off tomorrow morning. Craig will be on camera, so Craig, you don't have to worry. Seb, at least if you're off, you can dream about animals, and that way you'll most definitely guarantee that while you warm in your bed, yes, although you look like you warm in your sheep coat. So I think that you'll be, either way, you're going to probably be slightly better off than you have been this afternoon tomorrow morning. Let's quickly check Treehouse Dam. You never know, miracles can happen. So we're going to go past there quickly. Now we're going to go across to James Henry so that he can start this very educational school drive. So we'll see you all in a little bit.
Good afternoon or evening to the Herndon Barstow Elementary School, STEM Academy at Rogers School, and the Riverbend Elementary. They're all 7 to 8 years old, you are kids. Some of you in California, some of you all the way the other side of the country in Massachusetts, and some of you seemingly without a state. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, here we are. My name is James, and we're going to be talking to you for the next half an hour from the northeast corner of the world's most beautiful country. Now, I know that you think you live in the world's most beautiful country, but I'm going to tell you a secret. You don't. I do. And we're sitting here in South Africa in the Kruger National Park, and these are magnificent Nyalas. Isn't that beautiful? Now, as I said, my name is James, and it's wonderful to be with you. Fergus is the fellow on camera today, and you're going to meet Tristan very shortly. He's going to hopefully show you some animals as well, and I hope that you are going to ask us lots and lots of questions, and you do that by just asking your teacher. She will send them through to basically into my ear, and then I will answer your questions. So tell us your name, and then tell us what you have to know. or what you want to know. There are lots of animals here on this very wide open space. We're quite near what we call a lodge, which is a sort of a little hotel in the bush. And that's what that infrastructure was over there. And we're sitting on a place where you can fly into, on a very small aeroplane, you can come into this area. And all of these animals are here because it's open. And there's not a lot of bush around. And because there's not a lot of bush around, it means that the lions and leopards and hyenas, which are going to come out at night, will find it very difficult to try and catch all the antelope that we have here. What you're looking at there are impala, and that noise you can hear is a male impala chasing one of his females. That's one of the females there. What you're going to find is that your picture doesn't look quite as pretty as it does now. It's going to go black and white or slightly green. And we won't do that just yet. Now, my friend Tristan has got one of the most beautiful scenes in all of Africa, and that is a reflection of the sun.
We do indeed, James. It is absolutely beautiful this evening. The sun has just dipped, and now we have these amazing colours that have come into the sky and are being reflected by this beautiful little waterhole. Now, as James said, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Sebastian, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you. I hope that you're going to have a wonderful time with us this evening, and hopefully we'll be able to show you lots of interesting things that start to come out as the sun goes down. It's now time that we get a lot of the predators moving around, and that's where we're on our way to. We're going to go try and see if we can't go to our hyena den and see if the hyenas are there with their babies. So that's where we're going to head to now, and hopefully we'll get lucky, because it's been a quietish afternoon for us. We haven't seen too much. James has had a bit of luck, but hopefully our luck will change with all of you on board, and we'll be able to see something interesting. Now, the hyena den is not too far away. It's about, I would say, maybe 5 or 10 minutes away, and so we're going to try and use our light in the meantime to see if we can't spot some other animals. Now, the light is important because it helps us when it's dark like this. It's very difficult to see what's going on, so the light helps us to see the eyes of the animals reflecting at us, and that means that we can then spot them in these thick bush areas, and it makes it a lot easier. Once we have the sort of light on them, then we can start to see them. Andrew, you're wondering if I'm scared of the animals that I see. No, Andrew, I'm not scared of the animals that I see. We're very lucky that we're in an area where the animals are quite used to the vehicles, so they know that the vehicles are not something that they need to be sort of scared of or too dangerous towards them, and so the animals are actually quite relaxed, and it means that we can sit and watch the animals and really enjoy their presence without having to worry too much. So no, I'm not scared of any of the animals out here. They are very sort of respectful of our space as well, and they don't really come and give us too much of a hard time for the most part. Every now and then you might get a grumpy elephant or a grumpy buffalo that gives you a bit of a hard time, but generally the animals out here are quite relaxed because of the fact that we don't hunt or hurt or kill them in any way or steal any of their food, and so that's why it works. Now, I'm going to start heading towards that hyena den, and my friend James is playing with his technology and has some impalas to show you in infrared.
Look at this wonderful picture, everybody. It's almost completely dark out here, but here we are watching beautiful impala, the most common antelope that we get here, walking past. And I know that it's black and white, and that's not great, but that's because we are using some technology so that we don't have to shine lights on them, which of course makes them a little bit upset. Beatrix, you say, why are they so cute? I don't really know how to answer that question. I just think they are. That's the way they were made. And they are very cute, aren't they? I quite like the fact that they're cute. I couldn't tell you why they're cute, though. That's a really beautiful picture. So an impala is actually a very rich red colour, which you can see here with the infrared light on. It's plain black and white. That's very nice. And then the other side there, we've got some waterbuck. Now, Ken and Alex, impala, you want to know what they eat. They eat almost only grass and sometimes tree leaves. So they can eat both tree leaves and grass. Now, what we're looking at there is a waterbuck which can only eat grass. They're not able to eat leaves from trees and grass like the impala, and so they're not quite as many because there's not as much for them to eat as there is for the impala. And that's Mum, and just next to Mum, just behind her, is little baby. Isn't that sweet? Looks like a little donkey. And you might be able to hear in the background there the call of the arrow-marked babbler. It's a bird going. They do that at this time of the day, just to sort of make sure that they all know that they made it through the day and they're safe. Curly, you say, do I like it here? Curly, I wouldn't be here if I didn't love it here. You say, why? I'll tell you why. That's a very easy question to answer. It's because I find living in the wilderness so very pleasant. It makes me happy to wake up without a city around me. It makes me happy to wake up to watch the sunrise every morning and to smell the fresh, clean air and to taste the dust on the winter, which is what we have here now, and to smell all these animals. And then every day I come out and I look for these beautiful animals and I get to show them and talk about them to people all over the world. And so that's the reason that I love it out here. But mainly because it allows me to be in nature all the time, which is very special. And one day I suspect you will feel the same. We all tend to feel like that after a while. You know how sometimes you don't want to come inside when you're enjoying playing outside? Well, that's what I have all the time. Now, Asya, you're wondering if these animals are afraid of me. No, they're not afraid of me, they're not afraid of us, but that's only because we're not very close to them. If we got very close by to them, yes, they would be afraid of us and they would move away. And on foot, if we're walking, because I'm in a car, obviously, if we're walking, then they get very scared of us. And for some reason, the animals out here are much more scared of us when we're walking than when we are driving. And it's because, well, man, human beings, you and me, when we walk, we look like hunters. And they know that we're hunters, and so they don't really like to be around us. This is a very, very clever camera that is able to make a picture in light like this. I can't see that waterbuck, actually, without the aid of the camera. Isn't that special? It's amazing. That's another vehicle coming towards us. And there are some impala, again. They're young ones. That's the one with the little horns, a young ram, a young male, and females.
Hi, James.
Yeah. The females there are the ones without the horns, and the males have got those two little horns, and they're all quite young, you know. You know when they were born? I can tell exactly when they were born. They were born at the beginning of December in 2016. And it's so clever that they were born then, because they were all born together, and that means that they could be looked after by all the impala in the herd, and very few of them would have been eaten. And Mary Angeli, you were wondering how old they are. Well, there's your answer. Those ones with the little horns are now just about 6 months old. And there are two young males, two slightly older males, having a little bit of a fight in the background to the left. That's it. They're having a little bit of a fight. They're not very serious. That's like a, you know, when sometimes you might have a little play fight on the playground. Well, that's exactly what those impala are doing there. Isn't that fun? I know it looks like it's very scary. I mean, to have big horns like that, it must be quite... the chance to do injury to your friend must be high, but they're not doing any injury to each other. Now, Elisa, you say the impala have names. Elisa, they might to each other. They don't to us, of course, because there are so many of them here. There are more than 3,000 impala in the area in which we work. Can you imagine trying to remember 3,000 names? It would be impossible. And so, no, I don't think, we don't give them names. I don't know if they give each other names. I don't think so, but maybe they do. It's wonderful to watch them play like this. This is really very special, everyone. We don't often get to see this kind of behavior because often we're back home and it's, you know, once it gets dark we tend to go home. Isn't that special? That's really wonderful stuff. And look at the dust coming up. Now, Elisa, you ask a very good question about why they have horns. Well, Elisa, if you were to look at the males, you will see that they have got horns, but the females, the girls, don't have horns. Now, that tells you a very important thing. It tells you that the males must use their horns to fight with each other. Because if they used them to fight with predators or animals that wanted to eat them, then almost certainly the females would have horns as well. And so when only the males have got horns, as they do, remember on the deer, only male deer have antlers most of the time, what they use them for is for displaying to the females or for fighting each other. And in the impala's case is probably a little bit of both. They fight with each other and they display how big and strong they look to the females. Oh, and there are birds there. Those are called spotted thickneys. That's quite exciting. Very exciting to see a spotted thickney. Alrighty, I think we're going to have to try and move on from here and see what else we can see. What we have here is a spotlight, so I'm going to look around here, and you know my friend Tristan has just had a report of a very beautiful animal quite close to where he is, and he's trying desperately to find it.
Well, we are indeed, James. We've got reports of the most elusive of the beautiful animals out here, and that's what it's proving to be, is elusive. So somewhere here, hidden in amongst this thicket, is what we are looking for. Now hopefully he's not gone too far, but I'm hoping to show you what we're talking about very, very shortly indeed. Oh, there he is. Look there in front. Can you see? There's a beautiful big male leopard that's walking in front of us. So he's very, very well camouflaged and it's difficult to see him, but there he is there, striding out, and he's going down towards the dam. Now this is very exciting. This is our big dominant male that we get here, and he's a real beautiful male. He's massive, he's got big shoulders and a big neck. Now the reason why I know it's a male leopard is just because of the size. The females are nowhere near as big. So I'm going to try just go around him so I can see him from the front and show you all of him from the front. Now he is moving quite quickly, which is very typical of this particular male. He likes to move fast. He's not a male that hangs around very much at all. He's always seems to be on a sort of territorial mission, and he likes to kind of patrol his territory with much vigor. So he does move around quite a bit. Now hopefully he's going to just keep going. There he is. So I'm going to try and just quickly see if I can't sneak through here. Now this is the thing about following leopards off-road, is that it gets a little bit hairy at times because you've got to move quite quickly. But I think where he's going is to a little pan in front of us, which is not too far away, and hopefully we'll be able to see him sort of slow down there, and we'll be able to see him very, very nicely. Now the reason why I'm going a little bit further ahead of him is so that we can watch him walk towards us, because this male is quite relaxed, so he's not very shy as some leopards can be, and it means that he'll allow us to see him. Now he should be coming from there. There we go, Seb. You should be able to see him coming down the hill now. But isn't this amazing? We are so lucky to see him. Leopards are, like I say, one of the hardest of the big cats to find. They're very, very shy and very elusive animals. They like to hide out in thick bush and move around in the cover of night. Dakota, you're wondering if leopards are mean. Well, no, leopards are not mean unless you're an impala like James has, because they'll eat you. But if you are a human like us, then you'll see now, look, what she's going to walk very close to us, and he's not going to be aggressive towards us at all. He knows that we're not food, and that's why he's not mean to us. Now, I don't want to shine directly in his eyes, so I'm going to just shine on the grass in front of him. But isn't he beautiful? What a magnificent animal. And look how big he is. You can see, look where he's walking. Isn't this amazing? So, Kennedy, are you wondering if I'm scared of the leopard? No, Kennedy, I'm not. This particular male, I've seen him for many, many years now. The first time I saw him was in 2011. So, I saw him already 6 years ago, and he's never been aggressive towards me, so I'm not too worried about him at this stage. He's really, as you can see, not worried about us at all. He walked right past the car, and he didn't even bat an eyelid or say or sort of growl at us or anything like that. So that means I don't have to worry about him too much. He's perfectly happy with my presence, and we are happy to see him too, which is great. So I wonder where he's going to go now. I thought he might go for a drink. So, Ashley, you're wondering what leopards eat? Well, Ashley, that's a good question, because leopards have the biggest diet or widest amount of animals that they, out of all of our predators here. They'll eat everything from little insects like termites all the way to baby elephants and everything in between. So they'll eat scrub hares, which is like a type of rabbit. They'll eat the impalas like James saw, the nyalas that you saw earlier. All of those types of antelopes they'll eat. Now listen. Can you hear in the background there's a squeaking? That's the monkeys that are alarm calling. So the monkeys have seen him and are shouting to tell everybody, we've seen a leopard, be careful, don't go too near us, because we can spot that there is danger. That's why they're making that sound. You can see he's looking at them. So they might be a little bit far for you to hear them, but they're making quite a bit of a sound quite far from where we are now. And look, now he's watching and just seeing what they're doing. I'm going to go forward a bit. Let's just see. But the monkeys are shouting to tell everybody else to be careful. And let's see if we can't see his face a little bit. But look how beautiful he is. Where are you going, mister? He's walking towards the monkeys, so hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit closer, and then I will be able to let you hear what's going on, and you can hear the monkeys. So, Brindlin, you're wondering why they have spots. Well, the reason they have spots is because they need to camouflage, and where they like to hang around is in thick bush where there's lots of shade, and the shade means that there is lots of little places where there's bright spots and dark spots, and that means that the spotted coat helps to really blend in really well, and it makes it much harder for anyone to see them. So that's why. Now I have to call this in on the radio because there's lots of people that are looking for a leopard this evening, and like I was saying, we've been very lucky that we managed to find it, and so we need to let all the others know as well. Is there any station that copies me? But isn't that amazing? He's now lying down and showing us just how beautiful a leopard can be. Yeah, Ralph, I've got Tingana at Gari Dam, just static at the dam itself. So he's just busy grooming. Look at that. I found the dam in front of Uyatela camp. See how he listens? No, it's just Ralph, but you can make your way. So what we do is we let some of the other guys know as well, because we have other vehicles out here that have guests on them, so people that have come from other parts of the world to come and see these animals in real life, and so we let the other guys know that we've seen one, so that those guests can also get a chance to see these beautiful creatures. And I wonder if he's not maybe going to roll around. There is some dung there, and they do roll around in dung. So, Bryson, you're wondering if the animals are scared of the light. Well, no, they're not scared of the light. You can see, look, he's looking right at us, but the light is not that comfortable in their eyes. So we generally try and turn the light off when we can. at night and try and use our infrared, but with him moving so much, it's difficult to keep an eye on him without using the lights. We need to use the lights to be able to spot him, because it's now getting very dark. If I have to turn off the lights, you'll see he'll just disappear, and so it makes it quite tough. But look at those eyes. Did you see those eyes? How they're piercing they are, and look as though they're looking into the deepest part of your eyes, and they're almost sort of looking at you as to say, what's going on and who are you? But yes, so the lights, you'll see when we shine the lights, you can see where the light is. It's right in front of him. So I'm just bouncing the light off the road so that we don't hurt his eyes or blind him too much with the spotlight. But he's definitely rolling around in dung. Asla, leopards don't get hurt very easily. They're very clever animals and very, very strong. In terms of their sort of size and weight, they're one of the strongest cats that are out there in the world, and so they're very, very easily able to defend themselves. But if there's something like a lion or a hyena, which are also big predators, then you'll find the leopard is able to get into trees, and so they can jump into a tree and get away from that lion or leopard up in the tree and climb, and then they sit in the tree there for safety. So they don't get hurt very often, but every now and then you might find sometimes they get caught by a lion or a hyena, and then yes, they can get hurt. And also male leopards like this will fight with one another quite a bit. They have an area that they like to walk around in, and they like to walk there. And if another male comes, then they chase them away. It's like if you have somebody coming into your house that you don't know, you don't want them in your house, and so you chase them away. And it's the same with the leopard. And then sometimes they can hurt themselves when they're doing that and trying to keep each other away from one another. So, Asumi, you're wondering if the leopard would eat the monkeys. Yes, most definitely they would eat the monkeys. A male like this might try to hunt monkeys, but he's going to be a little bit big and a bit slow for the monkeys. So you find the females tend to be able to do it a lot better than the males. But yes, they will, and that's why the monkeys were making a noise, is because they're warning everyone. We've seen this predator, and this could maybe come and try and chase us, and so that's why they made a lot of noise. But the leopard, if it can get close enough to the monkey, will most definitely try and go after it. But look how he's listening now. You see how he's using his ears to hear what's going on around him. So Aurora and Autumn, you're wondering how fast a leopard can run. Well, leopards can run quite fast, but not as fast as a lion or a cheetah. They're a little bit slow because they're very, very strong animals, but they don't have nearly as sort of long legs as what the cheetah does, and they're also a lot heavier than the cheetah. And so it means that a leopard will run at about 70 kilometers an hour, which is about 45 miles per hour. So much faster than any of us can run, and they have to be quite fast because they have to be able to catch their food. And so you'll find that they do move quite quickly. But what the leopard does well is when it's hunting, it will go into a thick area and then it lies down, and those spots blend in very, very well, and then it can launch an attack with a quick sort of start with the explosive power in their legs, and that's how they're able to then grab their prey animals. They don't chase them for long periods like a cheetah would. Isn't he beautiful though? Kimmy, yes, he does have very big teeth. Hopefully he's going to yawn for us. Often when they lie down like this, just before they get up, they'll yawn, and I'll be able to show you their teeth. But his biggest tooth, which is his canine, and that's the one on the side of his mouth, those teeth are probably about almost 3 inches long, about 2.5 to 3 inches. So they're very, very long, and he needs those teeth to be able to grab some of the prey animals that he goes after. Then his other teeth are quite small actually, and they're shaped like triangles. And the reason why his teeth are shaped like triangles is so that they can work like a knife. When you cut something, you use your knife to cut up your food, and it's the same with the leopard. When he's eating his meat, he needs those triangular teeth, and those triangles will basically cut together, and they take off little bits of meat that he can then swallow and be able to feed off. So you'll find his other teeth are quite small, but he's got 4 very big canines that are on the sides of his mouth, and hopefully he's going to show them to us when he yawns. I'm not sure if he will, but they do sometimes do it when they are about to get up and move. So Autumn, you're wondering if they have soft paws. Well, I don't know if this particular male has soft paws because he is a wild animal, so we can't touch him. He'll be very upset if we try to touch him, and then he'll be very dangerous to us. And so his paws probably aren't very soft, and the reason why I say that, because I haven't touched them, is that he moves around quite a bit and he walks across thorns and sand and rocks, and I don't know if you walked around barefoot over rocks and things like that. It hurts your feet, doesn't it? And so with these paws, after walking over those, the paw becomes much harder so that it doesn't hurt him, and he can then walk around through the thorns and everything else, and his feet don't hurt. So his paws are probably not very soft at all. They're probably quite hard. I don't know if you have a dog at home or a cat, and if you do have a dog or a cat, if you feel their paws when they get older, their paws So that was him telling everybody that this is his territory and that he is the big king of this area. Isn't that an amazing sound? Wow, we're so spoiled this evening. Very, very lucky to be able to see this male, and to hear him calling is even more special. Thank you, Mr. Tingana. So, Gariana, you want to know how big his mouth opens? Well, his mouth can open quite wide. He can yawn, and I don't know if you've ever seen a cat yawning. They open their mouth almost, I would say, 45 degrees, so they're able to open it quite big, and you'd be able to fit easily a big orange inside his mouth if he opened his mouth wide enough. And so that's how big it is. It's really quite sort of large when they do open it. So, Andrew, you're wondering what our leopard is doing. Well, he's listening to the sounds of the night. So a leopard is an animal that likes to move in the dark of night, and they need to hear their prey, and so they will use those ears to listen as well as their eyes to see what's going on. So he's looking to see if there's maybe some animals that he could hunt somewhere close by. And did you see his yawn? Did you see how big his teeth are? Look, and also how wide his mouth opened. Now, him yawning might mean that he's going to get up and move again. And then when he's calling like that, when we heard him making that sounds like somebody sawing wood, that's him telling everybody here that I am the big male leopard here, and that you mustn't come here because I will try and chase you away and fight with you if you do. And it's also telling any of the girls here that he's here and about in case they want to find him. So, Graylin, you want to know if the leopard can hear me? Most definitely. Look at his ear. His ear's pointing towards us. So while I'm talking, the leopard is listening to me talking. He can definitely hear me. Look at his mouth. See how big it is. So it's very large when he opens it and yawns, and he can most definitely hear me. His hearing is much better than what my hearing is. He can hear a long way away. They can even hear little mice moving around in the grass, or an antelope that's moving around in a thicket somewhere close by. So hearing is very good. Now, the sound that he made just now, if another leopard was in this area, he would be able to hear it from about 5 kilometers, which is about 3.5 miles away. They would be able to hear that call. So they've got very, very good hearing. Much better hearing than what we do. Right, unfortunately, it's coming to the end of our drive. It's been such a pleasure having you with us, and I hope you really enjoyed to see this big male leopard. I know Sebastian is very excited on the camera there. And so from James and Fergus on the other vehicle, who showed you all the beautiful antelope, it's a very, very, very fond farewell. I hope that you had a good time, and from myself, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you, for all our other viewers, we'll see you tomorrow on our sunrise safari.